want to talk about the importance of action and doing things, because people have become paralyzed in this time and they just feel like nothing's happening, nothing's going on. And it's because recently there's been a massive amount of stimulation for people with their phones, being able to access nearly anything they want anytime. Feels like everything should be instantaneous, and that leaves things that have always been long processes feeling like they're just not working. People feel like, oh, getting in a relationship or making an impact at work, things such as that are taking far too long because everything else that previously took a while is now instant. Why shouldn't that be? And because it takes so much longer, it makes us feel like nothing's happening, and then people end up leading down a path of just doldrum and having really nothing to look forward to. And the best way to really fix this is to take action, to go do something. Stop deliberating on things all the time. When you feel like, hey, that's a good idea, maybe I should go start this project, do this thing, do it. There's no reason for you to wait for a sign or wait for a season to begin it. When you have an idea and you're worried about it potentially, like say you really want to ask someone out to a dance, right? If you never act upon it, you're going to feel just awful, because what if they say no, what if they say yes? And you can go back and forth on it, and just that constant deliberation and not knowing is gonna kill you. It's so stressful, because the idea of stress is having to work really hard at something that you don't know what you're doing. Better phrase, it is having to put in effort and not knowing if there's going to be a result. So you put in all this effort worrying about it and thinking about, hey, is this going to work? When really you've accomplished nothing. It's not like you're taking steps forward to finding somebody to go to the dance with. All you're doing is flip-flopping back and forth between two paths. And whichever path you go down, you're going to get a lot more out of that than if you just sit there and deliberate. So I really implore you to take the action to ask that person to the dance, to take the next step, because doing nothing and waiting is going to bring you pretty much nothing. That's not what life is about. If you do that, all you're doing is causing yourself more stress, and it just builds and builds and builds, and that leads to depression, that leads to further things. But when you don't recognize it, that's a huge issue as well. Well, take a look at what you're doing and take a look at the steps of how life is going, you know? Am I allowing external factors to dictate how I'm feeling? Am I allowing external factors to really influence how I feel, how I think? Anything. Are you in charge, or are you letting something else be in charge? When you're able to figure that out and you find that, oh, okay, I'm in charge here, right? No one's stopping me from taking that step. No one's stopping me from asking that person. Then you are in control. And when you're in control, it removes the stress. Even if they say no, if you get denied, right? That's so much better than having to deal with the indecision, because you have an answer. You know, hey, this is what I can improve on. This is what I can learn at. If you're scared of failure, then you'll never start. And if you never start, you'll always be scared of failure. The way to lose your fear of failure is to start. If you fail, it's not as scary. It's like when you're about to jump into the water from a diving board or a cliff, right? Standing on that edge, you could stand there all day and you're never going to feel like, hey, this is going to be any easier. Well, if you do jump in one time and then you go back up to that cliff, it's going to be a lot easier because the fear has dissipated. And the more you keep jumping in, the less scary it is. And if you keep doing it, your fear is going to shift. It's not a fear of dying, in essence, or being hurt from jumping down a cliff into the water. The fear shifts. Metaphorically, the fear more shifts towards not taking the chance, not jumping, missing out. And your fear never really goes away. You're always going to be scared of something to a degree. But when your fear shifts from starting to fear of not starting, you're going to accomplish so much more. The point is that regardless of how you're acting, you're always acting. So act in a way that's advantageous for your future. If you're able to do that and take steps forward, you might not know if they're the right ones, but you're taking steps forward, you're going to be able to accomplish so much more.